When people hear the phrase, "there is no magic bullet," it can sometimes feel discouraging, especially when the subject is cancer. We live in a world that often promises quick fixes and miracle cures, and when those don't exist, it can feel as if there is no hope. But what science has actually revealed is much more fascinating and powerful than any so-called miracle pill. The reality is that the body is designed with remarkable defense systems, and nature provides a pharmacy of powerful compounds that can work in harmony with those defenses. These are called bioactive compounds, and they are naturally occurring molecules found in many of the foods we eat every day. They do not act like a single shot that wipes out cancer overnight, but instead they create an environment in the body that makes it difficult for cancer cells to survive, thrive, or spread. This is why understanding their role is so important. Rather than thinking of one bullet, imagine an army of small, precise tools, each one influencing a different pathway that cancer relies on. Together, they form a network of defenses that strengthens the body's ability to resist disease at even the most advanced stages. Bioactive compounds are interesting because they don't just sit in the body passively. Once we consume them through food, they interact with our cells, our blood vessels, our immune system, and even the bacteria living in our gut. Many of them can directly influence the way genes are expressed. In other words, they can switch on protective genes and switch off harmful ones. This is called epigenetic modulation. For cancer, this is especially critical. Cancer cells often develop by hijacking normal genetic switches, turning on pathways that allow them to multiply uncontrollably or avoid natural cell death. Compounds found in food can interfere with those tricks, restoring balance to the system. For example, the catechins in green tea have been shown to block enzymes that tumors use to spread. The lycopene in tomatoes can reduce oxidative stress, a type of damage that cancer cells depend on to destabilize tissues. These are not isolated laboratory curiosities. They are effects observed repeatedly in both research and clinical studies. What makes bioactive compounds so remarkable is their ability to multitask. Unlike synthetic drugs that usually target one pathway, these natural molecules often influence several processes at once. One compound might reduce inflammation, another might boost immune surveillance, and another might cut off the blood supply that tumors use to feed themselves. In cancer biology, this is critical because advanced cancers like stage 4 do not rely on just one trick to grow. They are sophisticated and resilient, using multiple pathways at the same time. So, to have a defense system that can address several of these pathways simultaneously is a major advantage. Curcumin, the yellow pigment in turmeric, is a powerful example. It doesn't just reduce inflammation, it also encourages cancer cells to undergo apoptosis, the natural process of programmed cell death. It can interfere with angiogenesis, which is the ability of tumors to build new blood vessels. It even modulates the immune system to recognize harmful cells more effectively. No single drug does all of this, but food compounds can. Another important point is that bioactive compounds work in a dose-dependent manner. This means that it isn't about taking one capsule or eating one superfood meal. The real power comes from consistent exposure over time, woven into daily life. Every cup of green tea, every handful of berries, every serving of vegetables provides a new infusion of these molecules, and the body stores and uses them. Over weeks, months, and years, this steady presence can create an internal environment where cancer struggles to gain a foothold. This is why scientists often describe food as a long-term form of medicine. It doesn't deliver a sudden shock to the system. Instead, it conditions the body, reinforcing natural defenses and tipping the balance toward health day after day. It is also worth noting that bioactive compounds do not work in isolation. They interact with one another, sometimes in ways that make them more effective together than they are alone. This is called synergy. For instance, studies have shown that when lycopene from tomatoes is combined with certain oils, its absorption is enhanced, making it more available to the body. Green tea catechins may work more powerfully when combined with other antioxidants found in fruits. This synergy is one reason why whole foods often outperform supplements. The complexity of nature cannot be fully replicated in a pill. Our bodies evolved over thousands of years to process foods as complete packages, not as fragmented molecules. This is why dietary patterns, like eating a variety of colorful fruits, vegetables, legumes, and teas, consistently show stronger cancer-fighting effects than relying on one isolated extract. The role of bioactive compounds is not limited to direct cancer suppression. They also influence the environment in which cancer cells live. For example, inflammation is one of the conditions that cancer cells exploit to grow faster. Chronic inflammation makes tissues more vulnerable, and it sends signals that can actually encourage tumors to invade. Compounds like omega-3 fatty acids from fish or resveratrol from grapes help reduce that inflammation. Similarly, cancer cells often thrive in conditions of high blood sugar and insulin resistance. Certain plant fibers and polyphenols help regulate glucose levels, indirectly starving cancer cells of one of their key fuels. By addressing the larger ecosystem of the body, bioactive compounds deny cancer the supportive environment it seeks. The immune system is another powerful partner influenced by diet. Normally, the immune system acts as the body's surveillance team, identifying and destroying abnormal cells before they become dangerous. But cancer is clever. It can disguise itself, producing signals that hide it from immune detection. Bioactive compounds can help expose these disguises. Beta-glucans from mushrooms, for instance, have been shown to activate natural killer cells, the very cells specialized in destroying cancer. Other compounds can help reduce the suppression signals that tumors release, allowing immune cells to attack more effectively. This means that food can indirectly empower our immune defenses to do their job more efficiently, which is critical in late-stage cancer where every alley counts. All of this shows that the absence of a magic bullet is not a weakness but a strength. Cancer is not a single target. It is a network of strategies that evolves and adapts. To face such a challenge, we need a network defense, not a single shot. Bioactive compounds provide that network. They don't promise overnight cures, but they do offer steady, scientifically backed support for the body's natural defenses. Every bite of food rich in these compounds is a contribution to that defense system, reinforcing multiple pathways at once, strengthening resilience, and tipping the odds in favor of health. Science has given us a window into the hidden battles that take place inside the human body, especially when it comes to cancer. For decades, cancer was viewed as an unstoppable invader, a mass of uncontrolled cells that simply grew and spread without limits. But with advances in biology, immunology, and nutrition research, we now understand that cancer cells do not operate in isolation. They survive because they exploit natural processes that are already present in the body. What makes this fascinating is that the same processes cancer uses to gain power can be redirected and controlled through diet and natural compounds. Foods are not just calories or fuel. They contain substances capable of influencing cellular behavior. These substances can trigger apoptosis, which is the orderly self-destruction of abnormal cells, cut off angiogenesis, which is the growth of new blood vessels that tumors need for nourishment, and strengthen the immune system so that it can detect and destroy cancer cells more effectively. Each of these mechanisms is vital, and together they demonstrate how eating the right foods becomes a powerful defense system, even against advanced cancers. Apoptosis is one of the most important processes that food can influence. In a healthy body, cells have a built-in life cycle. They grow, divide, perform their function, and eventually die in a regulated way when they are no longer needed or if they are damaged. Cancer cells disrupt this cycle. They develop the ability to avoid apoptosis, meaning they refuse to die when they should. This allows them to accumulate, creating tumors and spreading damage. Certain natural compounds found in foods can restore the normal signals that trigger apoptosis. For instance, sulforaphane, which is abundant in cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and Brussels sprouts, has been shown to reactivate the self-destruct pathways in cancer cells while leaving normal healthy cells unharmed. Curcumin, the golden pigment in turmeric, has a similar effect, activating enzymes that encourage cancer cells to commit suicide. This is powerful because it shows that foods can help the body clean up harmful cells naturally, not through toxic force, but through the body's own regulatory systems. Another key process that food can influence is angiogenesis. Cancer cells, like any living tissue, require blood to survive. They need oxygen, glucose, and other nutrients to grow. But tumors are greedy. They hijack the body's ability to grow blood vessels and redirect it to themselves. This process of forming new blood vessels is called angiogenesis. When cancer succeeds at angiogenesis, it can expand quickly, feeding itself and even preparing pathways to spread into other organs. However, foods contain natural angiogenesis inhibitors. Green tea is one of the best known examples. The catechins in green tea can block the signals tumors release to create new blood vessels, essentially starving the tumor. Another example is resveratrol, found in grapes and red wine, which also interferes with angiogenesis. Even everyday foods like tomatoes and soy contain compounds that can reduce blood vessel growth in tumors. When angiogenesis is disrupted, cancer cells are deprived of their supply lines, limiting their ability to grow beyond a certain size. The immune system is the third critical factor, and perhaps the most remarkable. Normally, the immune system is capable of scanning the body, identifying abnormal or dangerous cells, and eliminating them before they become a problem. This is how the body prevents thousands of potential cancers every year without us even knowing. But advanced cancers develop tricks to evade immune surveillance. They camouflage themselves by producing proteins that mask their appearance, or they release signals that suppress immune cell activity. Food compounds can counteract this by reawakening the immune system. Mushrooms, for example, contain beta-glucans that activate macrophages and natural killer cells, which are both frontline defenders against abnormal growths. Pomegranates, with their rich supply of polyphenols, have been found to enhance immune signaling pathways. Even something as common as garlic has sulfur, containing compounds that stimulate immune activity. By supporting the immune system, these foods increase the chances that abnormal cells will be recognized and destroyed before they spread further. What makes the combination of apoptosis, angiogenesis control, and immune activation so effective is that it attacks cancer on 3 different levels at once. Cancer is not defeated by a single strategy. It thrives because it adapts and uses multiple survival mechanisms. By encouraging apoptosis, we remove damaged cells directly. By cutting off angiogenesis, we prevent those cells from getting the blood supply they need. By strengthening the immune system, we empower the body to patrol and eliminate cancer before it establishes dominance. It is a triple defense approach, and remarkably, it comes not from synthetic drugs, but from foods that have been part of human diets for centuries. One of the most compelling aspects of this science is how accessible it is. These are not rare or expensive compounds. They are found in everyday foods that can be purchased at a local supermarket. The broccoli on a dinner plate, the cup of green tea in the morning, the handful of blueberries eaten as a snack, or the turmeric stirred into a dish. All of these choices deliver molecules that have been studied for their cancer-fighting effects. Unlike treatments that may require advanced medical technology, these foods are within reach for almost everyone, and they carry minimal risk of side effects. They do not replace medical care, but they complement it by building resilience from within. This approach also reflects a deeper understanding of cancer as a disease of imbalance. When the signals for cell growth, death, and repair are in harmony, the body remains healthy. Cancer represents a disruption of that harmony, where growth overtakes regulation and spreads uncontrollably. Foods with bioactive compounds act as gentle regulators, nudging the system back toward balance. They don't force the body into unnatural states, they encourage it to return to the state it was meant to maintain. This is why many researchers describe food not just as fuel, but as information. Every bite of food sends signals to the body, telling cells how to behave. Those signals can be destructive, as with processed foods high in sugars and harmful fats, or they can be constructive, as with nutrient-rich foods that carry powerful protective compounds. Ultimately, the science shows that foods can intervene in the life cycle of cancer cells through multiple pathways simultaneously. Apoptosis ensures that damaged cells are removed. Angiogenesis control cuts off tumors from their lifeline, and immune activation strengthens the body's own surveillance system. Together, these mechanisms explain why certain diets consistently correlate with lower cancer rates and better outcomes, even in advanced cases. The complexity of cancer is matched by the complexity of nature's defenses, and food is the delivery system for those defenses. When discussing the foods that can fight cancer, it is important to move beyond the idea of vague, healthy eating and focus on the specific bioactive compounds found in certain ingredients. Research has shown that these compounds are not just nutrients, but powerful agents that can directly influence the way cancer cells behave. Tomatoes, green tea, soy, turmeric, and berries are some of the best studied examples, and each of them contains unique molecules that interact with the body in ways that target cancer growth. By understanding how these foods work, we can begin to see why they deserve a place in any diet designed to reduce cancer risk or support the body during treatment. These are not exotic or inaccessible foods. They are everyday items that can be part of simple meals, yet their effects on cellular biology are profound. Take tomatoes, for instance. They are one of the richest sources of lycopene, a carotenoid pigment that gives them their red color. Lycopene is a potent antioxidant, meaning it helps neutralize free radicals that can damage DNA and trigger the mutations that lead to cancer. But lycopene does more than just protect against DNA damage. Studies have shown that it can interfere with the growth signals cancer cells use to multiply, slowing down their replication. It can also modulate hormone levels, which is particularly important in hormone-driven cancers like prostate cancer. Cooking tomatoes actually increases the bioavailability of lycopene, meaning a simple dish like tomato sauce can be even more effective than raw tomatoes in delivering this compound to the body. This shows how traditional diets that feature cooked tomato products, such as the Mediterranean diet, may owe part of their cancer protective power to lycopene. Green tea is another example, and it has been studied extensively for its cancer-fighting potential. The key compounds in green tea are catechins, particularly epigallocatechin gallate EGCG. Catechins are polyphenols that have been shown to inhibit tumor growth in multiple ways. They can block enzymes that cancer cells rely on to spread, they can reduce angiogenesis by cutting off the blood supply to tumors, and they can induce apoptosis, forcing cancer cells to die. In laboratory experiments, EGCG has demonstrated the ability to slow the growth of cancers ranging from breast to lung to colon. What makes green tea so compelling is that it can be consumed daily as a simple beverage, delivering these bioactive compounds consistently. Unlike many pharmaceutical interventions, the risks associated with drinking tea are minimal, while the potential benefits are significant. Soy is often misunderstood because it contains phytoestrogens, plant-based compounds that mimic estrogen in the body. For years, this raised concerns about whether soy could fuel hormone-sensitive cancers like breast cancer. However, more recent research has shown that soy's genistein and other isoflavones actually help regulate estrogen activity in a way that reduces cancer risk. In populations that consume soy regularly, such as many Asian communities, rates of certain cancers are lower. Genistein has been shown to interfere with cancer cell signaling pathways, reduce angiogenesis, and encourage apoptosis. The fact that soy can act like a weak estrogen also means it can block stronger, more harmful estrogen from binding to receptors, which may explain its protective role in hormone-related cancers. Soy foods such as tofu, tempeh, soy milk, and edamame provide these benefits when eaten regularly as part of a balanced diet. Turmeric, the bright yellow spice commonly used in South Asian cuisine, contains curcumin, one of the most powerful anti-inflammatory and anti-cancer compounds studied. Curcumin can inhibit multiple pathways that cancer cells rely on to survive. It can block the NF-B signaling pathway, which promotes inflammation and cancer cell proliferation. It can also suppress angiogenesis and encourage apoptosis. What makes curcumin remarkable is its ability to act on many different cellular mechanisms at once. Cancer is a multifaceted disease, and curcumin's multi-targeted effects make it a valuable tool in the fight against it. While turmeric used in cooking delivers some curcumin, supplements are often used in clinical studies to achieve higher concentrations. Still, incorporating turmeric into daily meals ensures regular exposure to this protective compound. Berries such as blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, and blackberries are another category of foods loaded with bioactive compounds. They are rich in anthocyanins, ellagic acid, and other antioxidants that not only protect DNA from damage, but also directly interfere with cancer cell growth. Anthocyanins, which give berries their vibrant colors, have been shown to reduce inflammation and oxidative stress while also promoting apoptosis in cancer cells. Ellagic acid, found in many berries, has been studied for its ability to inhibit angiogenesis and prevent the activation of carcinogens in the body. Eating a variety of berries provides a wide spectrum of these compounds, which work together to create a strong anti-cancer effect. Unlike some other protective foods, berries are easy to snack on, blend into smoothies, or add to cereals and desserts, making them a convenient way to boost daily intake of cancer-fighting nutrients. These examples highlight a critical point: cancer-fighting foods are not exotic or mysterious. They are part of ordinary diets around the world, and their effects are supported by scientific evidence. What connects tomatoes, green tea, soy, turmeric, and berries is their concentration of bioactive compounds that work on multiple levels. They don't just block one pathway or target one aspect of cancer biology. Instead, they attack the disease from different angles, cutting off its resources, encouraging its destruction, and strengthening the body's defenses. This multifaceted approach is what makes them so effective. When these foods are eaten regularly, they supply a steady stream of protective compounds, reinforcing the body's natural ability to resist cancer development and progression. By looking closely at the science behind these foods, it becomes clear why dietary patterns that emphasize plant-based, nutrient-rich ingredients consistently show lower cancer rates. Each food contributes its own specialized compounds, and together they create a broad network of defenses. Tomatoes deliver lycopene to counter oxidative stress and hormone-driven growth. Green tea catechins interfere with tumor signaling and angiogenesis. Soy isoflavones regulate estrogen and promote apoptosis. Turmeric's curcumin attacks multiple cellular mechanisms, and berries flood the body with antioxidants and anti-inflammatory compounds. This diversity is essential because cancer itself is diverse and adaptable. No single food or compound can stop it completely, but the combination of many foods working together creates an environment that makes it harder for cancer to take hold and spread. When we talk about stage 4 cancer, it is important to understand the seriousness of what this means. Stage 4 is the most advanced form of the disease, a point where cancer has spread beyond its original site to distant organs and tissues. For many people, Hearing this diagnosis can feel like receiving a sentence with no room for hope. Yet, modern science and medical practice are showing that even in stage 4, there are opportunities to influence outcomes, and food plays an undeniable role in this process. Cancer at this stage is complex and aggressive, but it is not isolated from the body's natural defenses. Nutrition, particularly when combined with medical treatments, can change the environment in which cancer cells grow, making it harder for them to thrive. This perspective does not dismiss the importance of chemotherapy, radiation, immunotherapy, or surgery. Instead, it emphasizes that the kitchen and the clinic can work hand in hand, giving patients more tools in their fight. Stage 4 cancer cells are not invincible. They are heavily dependent on the body's resources, which means they rely on blood supply, glucose, proteins, and fats from the host in order to survive. This dependency makes them vulnerable. By adjusting diet, we can affect these resources in ways that challenge the cancer. For example, diets rich in processed sugars and refined carbohydrates fuel higher blood glucose levels, which cancer cells can exploit for energy. On the other hand, foods with complex fibers, low glycemic load, and natural plant compounds help stabilize blood sugar and reduce insulin spikes, depriving cancer of its easy energy supply. This is one way nutrition can shift the internal environment in favor of the patient, even at advanced stages. Another factor is inflammation. Chronic inflammation creates fertile ground for cancer to grow and spread, and in stage 4 cancer, this process often accelerates. Inflammatory signals act like fuel for tumors, promoting angiogenesis, invasion of tissues, and even suppression of the immune system. Foods that reduce inflammation can play a central role in counteracting this. Omega-3 fatty acids found in fatty fish such as salmon and sardines, polyphenols from olive oil, and flavonoids from fruits and vegetables can reduce the inflammatory environment, cutting off some of the advantages cancer cells rely on. When inflammation is reduced, the body can focus more effectively on fighting the disease rather than being distracted by constant internal stress. The immune system is another powerful player, and it remains active even in stage 4 cancer. Treatments like immunotherapy, which are often used at this stage, depend heavily on the strength and responsiveness of the immune system. Food can support this by delivering vitamins, minerals, and phytochemicals that enhance immune cell activity. Mushrooms, citrus fruits rich in vitamin C, cruciferous vegetables with sulforaphane, and spices like garlic all help boost immune surveillance. For patients undergoing medical treatment, a strong immune system is essential, not just for targeting cancer cells, but also for managing infections and recovery from therapy side effects. Nutrition becomes a form of reinforcement, keeping the immune system supplied and active. Angiogenesis, the process by which tumors create new blood vessels to feed themselves, is also critical at stage 4. Without access to blood, tumors cannot expand or metastasize as easily. This is where foods like green tea, berries, soy, and turmeric become especially relevant. The bioactive compounds in these foods act as natural angiogenesis inhibitors, disrupting the tumor supply lines. For a patient, this doesn't mean the cancer disappears overnight, but it does mean the cancer is less able to expand and invade aggressively. When combined with drugs that target angiogenesis, food-based compounds create a reinforcing effect that makes treatments more effective. Weight and overall body composition are additional considerations in stage 4 cancer. Many patients experience either cachexia, which is the wasting syndrome characterized by weight loss and muscle breakdown, or in some cases, weight gain caused by reduced activity and treatment side effects. Both extremes can weaken the body's resilience. Nutrition helps by providing the right balance of protein, fats, and carbohydrates to maintain muscle mass, support energy, and prevent malnutrition. Plant-based proteins, healthy fats from nuts and seeds, and whole grains provide strength without overloading the system. The goal is not only to nourish the patient, but also to strengthen them so they can withstand aggressive therapies and maintain quality of life. Food also interacts with the microbiome, the community of bacteria living in the gut. Research shows that the microbiome has a powerful influence on how well cancer therapies work, especially immunotherapies. A diet rich in fiber, fermented foods, and plant diversity encourages a healthy gut microbiome, which in turn supports better treatment responses. In contrast, diets heavy in processed foods and low in fiber create an imbalanced microbiome that weakens immune function and increases inflammation. By focusing on foods that feed beneficial bacteria, patients give themselves another advantage in their treatment journey. There is also the psychological aspect of food. At stage 4, patients often struggle with fear, anxiety, and loss of control. Food choices become a way to reclaim a sense of agency, knowing that every meal contains compounds that can support the body, weaken cancer's defenses, and enhance medical treatment provides empowerment. Instead of feeling passive in the face of the disease, patients can take an active role through daily decisions at the dinner table. This empowerment can improve emotional well-being, which is itself a vital component of resilience in advanced cancer care. What emerges from all of this is the recognition that nutrition is not a fringe or secondary consideration in stage 4 cancer. It is an integral part of the overall treatment plan, working in harmony with medical interventions. Foods deliver anti-inflammatory agents, angiogenesis inhibitors, apoptosis inducers, immune boosters, and metabolic stabilizers, all of which influence the disease environment. While the disease may be advanced, it is still responsive to changes in the body's biology, and food is one of the most consistent and accessible ways to influence that biology on a daily basis. Hope is one of the most powerful forces when facing a disease as serious as cancer, and what makes the science of food and health so remarkable is that it transforms hope into something tangible. For generations, food was seen simply as sustenance, a way to keep the body alive from day to day. But modern research has shown that food is much more than fuel. It is medicine, carrying bioactive compounds that interact with our biology in ways once thought possible only through pharmaceuticals. This understanding reshapes how we think about the kitchen. It is not just a place where meals are prepared, but a place where defenses are built, where the foundation of resilience against disease is strengthened every single day. Every ingredient chosen, every meal prepared, becomes part of a larger strategy that empowers the body to fight back. This message is not abstract inspiration. It is rooted in evidence, and it shows that individuals can take an active role in shaping their health outcomes. The power of food as medicine lies in its ability to influence multiple systems of the body simultaneously. Cancer is not a simple disease. It is complex, adaptive, and multifaceted, which is why it has been so difficult to control. But food is also complex. A tomato is not just a tomato. It is a package of lycopene, vitamin C, potassium, and other compounds that work together synergistically. A cup of green tea is not simply a hot drink. It is a delivery system for catechins that block angiogenesis, antioxidants that reduce oxidative stress, and compounds that influence metabolism. When we look at food in this way, it becomes clear that the kitchen is not separate from the clinic, it is an extension of it. The meals prepared in the home complement the treatments administered in hospitals, forming a continuous line of defense. What makes this empowering is that food is accessible. Unlike high-tech medical procedures which require hospitals, specialists, and significant expense, the benefits of food can be tapped into by nearly anyone, anywhere. A person does not need to wait for an appointment or a prescription to begin strengthening their body. They can start at the grocery store or farmer's market, choosing foods known to contain protective compounds. They can prepare meals at home that deliver these molecules day after day, creating a steady internal environment that is less hospitable to cancer. This accessibility gives individuals a sense of control at a time when many feel powerless. The act of cooking and eating becomes an act of healing and resistance. Another important dimension of this message is that food as medicine does not come with the harsh side effects that often accompany pharmaceutical treatments. Chemotherapy, radiation, and targeted drugs are powerful tools, but they often take a heavy toll on the body, causing fatigue, nausea, hair loss, and immune suppression. By contrast, the foods that deliver cancer-fighting compounds usually strengthen rather than weaken the body. A diet rich in vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and healthy fats provides energy, improves mood, supports the immune system, and maintains strength. While food cannot replace medical treatment, it can make the body more resilient, helping patients tolerate therapies better and recover more quickly. In this way, the kitchen becomes a source of both physical and emotional nourishment. The message of empowerment also extends to prevention because the fight against cancer does not begin at diagnosis. Research shows that dietary patterns can significantly reduce the risk of developing many cancers in the first place. By choosing foods that promote apoptosis, inhibit angiogenesis, and reduce inflammation, people can build defenses long before cancer ever appears. This perspective redefines the role of food in our lives. It is not just something we turn to when illness strikes. It is something we can use proactively every day to create a body that is less vulnerable. This long-term approach underscores the idea that food is medicine not only for the sick but also for the healthy who want to remain that way. Food as medicine also speaks to the cultural and social dimensions of eating. Meals are often shared with family and friends, forming rituals of connection and community. When those meals are prepared with ingredients that support health, the act of eating together becomes even more meaningful. It is no longer just about satisfying hunger. It is about investing in one another's well-being. A pot of vegetable stew, a salad filled with berries and greens, or a dish seasoned with turmeric and garlic is more than a recipe. It is a gesture of care and protection. This sense of shared purpose amplifies the psychological benefits of healthy eating, creating an environment of hope and positivity that can be just as important as the biological effects of the food itself. The psychological empowerment that comes from viewing food as medicine should not be underestimated. A diagnosis of stage 4 cancer can leave patients feeling helpless, as if control has been taken away from them. Medical treatments are decided by doctors and schedules, and often the patient feels like a passive participant in the process. Food changes this dynamic. Every meal becomes a decision the patient makes for themselves, an active step in the fight. Even when the disease feels overwhelming, the simple act of choosing a tomato, brewing a cup of tea, or eating a handful of berries reinforces the idea that the patient is not powerless. These small choices accumulate over time, reinforcing resilience not just physically but emotionally. In addition, the diversity of foods available allows for creativity and personal preference, making the process enjoyable rather than burdensome. Cancer-fighting foods are not bland or restrictive. They are colorful, flavorful, and versatile. Berries provide sweetness, tomatoes offer richness, turmeric adds warmth, and green tea brings calm. When combined thoughtfully, these ingredients create meals that are both healing and satisfying. This means that the practice of food as medicine is not about deprivation, but about abundance. It reframes the narrative from one of loss, losing health, losing freedom, to one of gain, gaining control, gaining strength, gaining hope. This philosophy is reinforced by scientific evidence, which continues to uncover more about how foods interact with our biology. Each new study adds to the confidence that dietary choices matter. The knowledge that something as ordinary as a daily cup of tea or a bowl of berries can influence cellular pathways provides a profound sense of possibility. Instead of waiting for the next breakthrough drug, people can look to their kitchens for immediate action. The science validates what traditional cultures have known for centuries, that food is intimately connected to health and healing. Modern research is not replacing this wisdom, but deepening it, providing concrete explanations for why these foods work the way they do. All of these dimensions, biological, psychological, cultural, and scientific, come together to form a message of empowerment. The kitchen is not separate from the battle against disease, it is part of the front line. Every food choice carries weight, and every meal is an opportunity to strengthen the body's defenses. This is why the idea that food is medicine is so powerful. It shifts the conversation from despair to possibility, from passivity to action, from fear to hope. It tells us that healing does not only come from hospitals and clinics, but also from the decisions made in everyday life. It is a reminder that even in the face of something as overwhelming as cancer, there is still a place for agency, for choice, and for empowerment, and that place is often found in the kitchen. Ladies and gentlemen, what we have learned together is that there is no single weapon against cancer, but there is a powerful arsenal already within our reach. Food is more than fuel. It is information for our cells, instruction for our biology, and medicine for our health. From the lycopene in tomatoes to the catechins in green tea, from soy's genistein to turmeric's curcumin and the anthocyanins in berries, science shows us that our meals can strengthen immunity, cut off blood supply to tumors, and even encourage harmful cells to die. Even in stage 4 cancer, where the challenge is greatest, the evidence is clear the choices we make in the kitchen can complement the treatments we receive in the clinic. Every bite, every sip, every meal becomes an act of resilience. So let us move forward with hope, armed with knowledge and guided by science. The kitchen is not separate from the fight against disease. It is part of it. And by making food our ally, we take back control, we strengthen our defenses, and we give ourselves the best chance to thrive. Thank you.